Welcome or welcome back. My name is Joanne and today I'm talking about my favorite part of makeup, eyeshadow palettes. And I'm going to be talking about my favorite eyeshadow palettes I have in my collection. So on my channel, I'm going to be talking about palettes that might not be available anymore, that are discontinued, that are a little harder to get, and I will mention that when I get to those palettes. Before talking about my favorite palettes, if you're interested in anything that I'm wearing today, it will be linked in the description box along with the palettes that I will be talking about. And if it is discontinued or anything, I will make a note of it I will make a note of it when I mention the palette in my description box. But first I'm going to talk about the ones that either you can't get anymore or they're just harder to get. Most of my palettes are from indie brands just because I like supporting indie brands, and I just find that their eyeshadow formula is just better than mainstream. Just my opinion, okay? Like, I understand all the talk about indie brands and stuff, but I love them. But the first palette I'm going to be talking about isn't, well, it is an indie brand, but you can get the brand at Sephora. And this palette is discontinued, and I just talked about this in my unpopular opinions video, but it's the Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes. This is what it looks like. I'm sorry for any reflection in any of these palettes. I should probably hold it right side up, huh? Excuse you. But this is what that looks like. It's so pretty. I love it. The shimmers are more of the toppery, sparkly type of shimmers, but they're so pretty. So pretty. I used it to top off a shimmer that was a little lackluster for me, and it just added so much to the look. And if this comes back, which it should, Mario, okay, I know you're not watching this, but bring this palette back and make it permanent, please. I definitely recommend getting this, as long as like this is your type of color story and your type of shimmer formula. The shimmers are more of like a thin type of formula, kind of similar to the Urban Decay Moon Dust. I have the holiday palette that they released, and they're a little similar in that aspect. They are kind of similar, actually, just how they are, but I love them. And one of my absolute, okay, I can't say it. This is one of my absolute favorites because this is literally a favorites video. So yeah, there's the first one I'm going to be talking about. The next palette is another discontinued one, and it is Glaminatrix Cosmetics Nearly Natural. This is what it looks like, and I will say these shimmers aren't as sparkly as I prefer, except for Naked Eye and Nearly Natural. So these two are more sparkly, but the rest aren't super sparkly, but they're very metallic. And I mean, I have plenty of eyeshadows to top on top of it, so that in that aspect, this isn't like a fave. Well, okay, this is a favorite, but like the fact that they're not super sparkly isn't a favorite thing for me. But this color story and the formula, I just love it. I love neutrals. Like, I love colorful eyeshadows, but like my go-tos are neutral. I mean, I used the Adept Heather Austin palette today, and I've been focusing on the brown and the purple. And so I've been doing a lot of neutral looks, and it's just neutrals, I'm realizing, are just my go-to, even though I have so many colorful palettes. Yeah, I love this. The formula, they're pigmented, but they're so blendable. And these two shimmers, absolutely stunning. Stunning. So like, I understand why they discontinued it, but like, why did you discontinue it? You know, like, bring it back. Just, I love it. Okay, I will say I do prefer their new shimmer formula, but this color story is just a favorite of mine. So again, stop saying it's a favorite, because of course it's a favorite. The next two are more so, they're harder to get because they sell out quickly, and they're really just like a one-woman show type of brand, so it's a little harder to get. So you would want to keep your eye out on their Instagram to see if they're restocking it, when they're restocking them. But first is Cosmic Beauty Muse. I have two of their other palettes, and I love this one so much. So this is also more of like a Color Story matte formula type favorite, because these shimmers are pretty, but they're not the sparkly type of shimmers that I prefer. But the Color Story, absolutely gorgeous. It's very much a spring palette, which I do have a video planned of talking about the spring palettes in my collection, and this will probably be featured in that. I just love these, and the matte formula, again, they're pigmented, they're very blendable. This brand, I think this palette was like $20 to $25 US dollars. That is not bad at all. And like, yeah, the packaging is cardboard, but like, I think it's still nice. And the Color Story is just gorgeous, and I love it. I love it. These are literally palettes that it's like, you can't pry them from my cold dead hands. That's the vibe for this video. The next palette that's kind of in the same category as that one, where you want to watch out for her Instagram to see if she's ever restocking things and when she is, because she hand presses everything. It's a one-woman show. It's all her doing everything, and that's just so impressive to me. Like, yes, as a consumer, it's harder to get products, and they sell out very quickly, but it's just so special to me that they're putting all of their effort and energy into their brand. And I know most people are doing that with their brands, and that's just what I love about indie brands. And that is this Electrum Cosmetics palette. It's the Celestial Witch palette. And I'm sorry for the reflection, but look how gorgeous that packaging is. I had the Sea Witch palette, but it's such a dark palette and there's not much like different depth to it that I just decluttered it. It's really pretty, like the shimmers are gorgeous, but this is an all shimmer palette, all full of sparkly multi-chrome, and they're just divine, so pretty, so pretty. I love this so much. I need to use this more. I haven't been using this as much because, I mean, I'm focusing on my Adept Heather Austin palette, which might be shown in this video. Not the inside, but it will be featured in this video. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it's just, these shimmers are so special. They're like a thinner type of formula, and they're just so sparkly and they go on the eyes so easily. They're just so pretty. I love them. I love them so much, and I want to use this so much more than I have been. But this one palette I'm not going to link because no one really knows what's going on with the brand right now. And yeah, it's really sad, but it's Shroud Cosmetics and Batty Bean. It's freaking bats. This palette, oh my god. These shimmers, they're not super sparkly or anything, but they're still so pretty. And again, I can just top something on top of it. But what gets me with this palette is the Color Story. And like their matte formula isn't even my favorite either. But like it takes time to blend their matte formula. But this Color Story is just so unique. It's so pretty. I just love it. I love this palette. I love this so much. Yeah, this is in my palette chaos and I'm trying to hit 2 pans on it and I haven't even used it yet, which is a shame. We'll see when I use it though. The Color Story. How can you not love this? And like, I don't mind the formula. Let me just say that, like, I don't dislike the formula. It just takes more time. The shimmers aren't as sparkly as I prefer, but it's still very usable and just so unique in my whole collection. All these other palettes should still be available, so I will have these linked down in the description box. I guess we'll start with my Adept Heather Austin palette since I can't really show the inside, but this is what it looks. Well, okay, this is the older packaging. Their newer packaging has the lettering raised to match their other palettes. But yeah, if you've heard me talk about this in my previous videos, you already know I love this. It's what I have on my eyes today. Like, how sparkly and pretty. The mattes, I find I don't have, I'm realizing that my favorite palettes really do have some issues, but I just overlook them. It's like, guys, you're like, you know, I shouldn't be okay with that, but I am. Okay, Joanne. So, yeah, this is, it's just sparkly, and the mattes, they take, some of them, a couple of them take a little bit more time to blend, but it's really not that bad. And I just love Adept so much, so much. This is what introduced me to the brand. It's really the shimmers that get me. Their shimmer, they're a little bit more of like a thick type of formula, but they're so sparkly. You don't need a lot of it either, and just gives such a pretty effect, and I just love them. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. This is my Pan That palette for the year, by the way, if I didn't mention that. I'm so glad I'm using it. So glad I'm using it. The next palette I have is the Sydney Grace Tiny Marbles palette, which is in collaboration with Mel Thompson, who has passed. It's been a few years, I'm pretty sure. Just crazy. But yeah, the proceeds go to Mel's family. And I love this okay, I need to stop saying about all these palettes, because obviously I love every single one of these palettes. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in this video. First of all, look at this artwork. So pretty. This is the palette. It's so pretty. It's so neutral with a couple pops of color. And the shimmers, they're very metallic. They aren't sparkly or anything, but they're so pretty. And I mean, this is my kind of color story, like a lighter neutral type of color story, but it has the depth. Like, it goes from light to dark, and that's what I like in a palette. Like, you can go light to dark and create a cohesive look with it for the most part. I mean, I did have that all shimmer palette from Electrum, but there's just something about Sydney Grace's formula that I absolutely love. And they're mattes, pigmented, very blendable. I'm gonna sound like a broken record with that. And the shimmers are very metallic. Like, I love the shade Fire Butts right here. Like, I will just wear that all over my eyes. And normally I put like a sparkly shade on top of some of my other palettes, but not this one. I just love this, and this makes me want to try more from the brand. So yeah, I have my eye on a couple of their other palettes, so maybe during their sale in July I'll pick up a couple more, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Next is Gourmand Girls Nightshade in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny. This is what that one looks like. And I do have Spooked and Haunted, which are also collaborated with Doodles by the Bunny. But look at this color story. It's so pretty. These shimmers, oh, absolutely love. The mattes are a little, they're definitely softer than the Adept mattes. The Adept mattes are pretty like firmly pressed in there. But these mattes, they're pigmented, they're very blendable. It goes light to dark. There's a variety of different shades that you can use, different color combos that you can just have fun with. I literally don't even know what else to say about this. Like, the shimmers are sparkly. I would say they're like kind of in the middle of a thin formula and a thick formula. Like, they're not super thin like the Makeup by Mario or like the Urban Decay Moondust shadows, but they're not thick like the Adept shimmers either. They're just a perfect in between, and they're Like this one's like a duochrome. This one's definitely a duochrome. They have some shift to them. Flowering is my favorite shade in this palette. It's just so fun with the yellow to bluish shift and like pink. It's just, sorry, you literally saw everything. Yeah. It's my favorite out of the three that I have because of the color story. And obviously you can still get it and I recommend it. It's so easy to work with. It's so fun. It makes me just so creative and highly, I just love this. I know I keep saying that, but like I do. Next palette, I have 3 more palettes. Next palette is from Bellabeautébar and it's the Basic Witch palette. I was thinking about putting in Strange and Unusual for this video because that's what introduced me to the brand, but it's not a completely cohesive palette because it does have mattes and shimmers, and if it has mattes and shimmers, I want it to be cohesive where I feel like I don't have to bring in another palette to have a complete look. So here comes Basic Witch. This was released last year. There were so many releases last year. Oh my god. But look how... Their matte formula, pigmented, blendable. What can I say? It goes from light to dark. It has a variety of shades that you can use, different color combos that you can do. The shimmers are so pretty. Like these multi-chromes are more of the smooth type of multi-chrome formula, but they're still sparkly, perfectly wicked, gorgeous. Witch Please is like a hot pink to blue shift. Oh, I love this. I mean, look at the color story. Just look at it. Yeah. Honestly, what else can I say about this? Like, there's a reason these are my favorite palettes because they have that pigmented but blendable matte formula. The shimmers are sparkly for the most part. The shimmers are sparkly, they're pigmented, they're for the most part. Yeah. They're just so pretty, and I love shifty shades. They're just so fun to play with. And Bellabeautébar is one of my favorite brands in my collection. Just want to put that out there. My last 2 palettes are from the same brand. And just leave your guess as to what brand it is in the comments, because I bet you can guess it before I get into it. Blend Bunny. Of course. Blend Bunny. No one's surprised here. Of course I had to put in blends, okay? I had to put in blends. This is what introduced me and a lot of other people to their brand. And look at this. I have a huge dip in cream and sugar. And this is in my inner corners today. By the way, I'm trying to hit pan on that and it's taking forever. Ugh. But I love this palette because the mattes are, say it with me, pigmented and blendable. I mean, that's what got Blend Bunny on the board for a lot of people, is the matte formula. I mean, this is an all matte palette. This was her first palette ever. It's just a matte rainbow palette, but it's so good. It's so good. Again, pigmented, blendable, Blend Bunny. Also called the Blends palette. And the reason why I picked this over this and the next palette over my other ones is because you get every color of the rainbow, right? But I find the formula is the same through all the shades. Like there isn't a shade, well, okay. There is a shade that I don't like, but that's just because it's me and that's just personal preference. And that's like the reddish shades. I don't love wearing red. And yellow's okay, but they're not my favorite either. But that's more personal preference, right? We're just talking about the formula here, and Blend Bunny killed the matte game with this palette. If you haven't tried them, I really recommend at least waiting. They have like quite a few sales throughout the year where she'll have 20% off site-wide, everything 20% off. So I definitely recommend waiting until then to pick something up. If there's a color story that really intrigues you, go for it. Go for it, my dude. Love, 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 love. And the last palette is Sugar and Grunge from, of course, Blend Bunny. First of all, look how pretty this packaging is. I love the roses on it. And then this is what it looks like. So it was really between this and Allure. And it's kind of funny because they have similar color stories. So they have similar color stories, but I find this to be more my vibe because Allure is more of like a brighter, poppy type of palette, whereas this is more like grungy, a little deeper, just my vibe. More of my vibe than that. I love the color story. I mean, if I don't love the color story, is it a favorite palette? No. Like, no. So, I love how Blend Bunny lays out her palettes, except for her, what was it? It was the pastel one. It was, what was it called? Oh, shoot. I don't own it. It's, I know her latest one was Machina. I don't remember. It has the skull on top on it. I do want it, but I don't have it. I can't remember the name of it. Anyways, that's the only exception to this, but I love how she lays out her palettes and makes them so easy to use. I mean, for this one, she mixed up the shimmers, which is fine. Like, I don't really care about that, but I really like how she lays them out, whereas they're cohesive, because when I do a colorful look, I tend to go for, hair. When I do a colorful look, I tend to go for a monochromatic look, and she just makes it so easy to do that. So easy. And these shimmers are really nice too. They're obviously her more updated formula. They're pretty sparkly. She doesn't really do like multi-chromes or anything. She does have a multi-chrome quad called Trove, but these shimmers are sparkly. They're so pretty. They're so pretty. I mean, you can kind of tell that like I use these a little more than the others, but I just love them. I love Blend Bunny. I also just love the owner of Blend Bunny. She's so kind, and she really just wants to help her customers, which I love. So those are all of my favorite palettes. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite palettes in your collection are down in the comments. I would love to know. I guess that's all I have. Again, I will have everything linked down in the description box. I'll have all the palettes I mentioned linked down below. I have everything that I'm wearing linked down below. I guess with all that being said, I hope you have a great day, great night, whatever time it is for you. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.